Hey everyone, Steve here from 11ish, a channel where we talk about lucrative investment strategies and opportunities based on the suggestions from the 11ish collective. I'm gonna apologize that I've been out for a while because I got a new job, getting myself acclimated, but also because the economy looked like a shit show and I really wanted to wait for it all to calm down. If you've seen my previous videos, you will know that I've actually divested, removed some of my investments. About half of my investments were parked as cash. But now the economy seems to be going back towards the track that I'm a little bit more comfortable with. There are definitely stocks that are super frothy, and there are some of those investment opportunities that are just stupid. If you've been following my channel, you know that the investment opportunities I talk about are the ones that even if the shit hits the fan, eventually you'll make money because they're sound businesses. They have good business value proposition. My value add is to explain to you why there's a short-term investment opportunity where you can make money faster. But if shit hits the fan, you'll still make money. With that context in mind, in this video, we're going to talk about why I think Apple is a cool investment again. If this is the type of content you've been looking for, please hit that like button for me, and let's get started. So before I talk about why I think Apple is a good opportunity now, I'm going to talk about a brief humble brag about how I made 40 grand in a week. So I'm in the tech industry and most of my friends had iPhones, okay? And no one was upgrading their phone because there weren't exciting features being built into the iPhone back then. This was during the iPhone 4, iPhone 5 phase. When iPhone 6 came out, it was dramatically different as a hardware. The software looked like it was cleaned up, and suddenly all of my friends started buying it. This gave me a window in consumer behavior where all of the Apple fanboys, there was an agreement, they decided to all buy, and therefore I did an options trade on the Apple stock at that time, right before earnings. The reason why I'm telling you this story right now is because the MacBooks seems to be following the same trajectory right now, in my opinion. So Apple came out with their M1 processor, and if you actually been following the fanfare, it is absolutely amazing. So just look up on YouTube. There's a ton of people saying that it's the best laptop they've ever reviewed. The processor has blown the Intel processors out of the water. It allows the Apple computers to run fanless while at load. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. This is, in my opinion, going to generate a huge amount of people adopting to the new MacBook. And the other interesting thing about this is that the MacBook base models are now being touted as good enough for most people. As opposed to before, you're expected to buy an upgraded model of the MacBook or MacBook Pro. So with that in mind, that means that the price point for most people are cheaper now and pretty reasonably competitive against, Windows laptops. So with that in mind, I think there's going to be a lot more people buying MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros. This looks super attractive to me because the existing MacBook holders are going to be incentivized to upgrade, right? For me, I actually upgraded from a MacBook Pro that was 4 years old into a MacBook Air because the MacBook Air actually outperforms the old thing. And secondly, because the old story is that iPhones dominate so much of Apple's revenue, I find this an exciting opportunity for MacBooks to take over a bigger chunk of that revenue, make their balance sheet more balanced. And this to me means a more stable value proposition that Apple has to offer. Now that's the first pro. The second pro is that if you've been reading the news about Apple, they are in the works of putting out an Apple Glass, right? I think Google Glass, but more thought out. Timing means so much in the tech industry. The details in terms of security and optics means so much. So give you another story. I used to be a mobile PM and I thought smartwatches are more or less gimmicky. They're useful, but I hate the fact that you need to charge it all the time. But Apple Watch is clearly a hit. And iterations after iterations, it's gotten better and better. It's been dominating. I think the same opportunity can present itself for Apple Glass. Also, we know that Apple has been working on smart cars. That is a little bit further down the road, but I honestly believe that technology is getting pretty prime for prime time. So if Apple Glass comes out, Apple smart cars come out, I mean, that is brand new technology that's going to revitalize Apple as a brand. Its brand love is going to burst into what it used to be. Ooh wee. So if you saw my previous video, I was saying how Apple is getting boring and no real innovations happening. This is what I've been waiting for. I think this is what's going to make Apple better as a business value, as an investment opportunity. Now, the third reason why I think you should invest in Apple right now, as I have, is because the stock tanked after they came out with their earnings. Their earnings were incredibly healthy, and yet it went down. Why? Because I believe there are too many options traders who's been swinging on quarter earnings. As soon as the earnings come out, they sell and look for a different opportunity to invest. Now, I've been personally doing that for years before it became popular. But because now that it has become a trend, you cannot, if everyone's investing that way, then that investment strategy is no longer valid, is no longer useful. It is now gambling on timing, and that is not what you should be doing. So if you're investing on earnings, I highly suggest that you sell before the earnings come out, regardless of the direction, because it's very much like a blackjack table right now. If you look at Apple, for example, earnings come out, stock tanks, even though everything's positive, a lot of good news. I highly recommend that you invest in now. There is plenty of room to move up. The beauty of Apple is that there is a lot of analysts, a lot of eyeballs on this. So when you see a target price, it is probably a lot more accurate than most of the stocks you're looking at as well. And you can see that currently everyone thinks the stock is undervalued. And so therefore, it's relatively safe. It's relatively safe with a pretty decent upside. Now, if you're following that AMC crowd, where you think that 20% gain over 6 months is too small, honestly, I don't think you should be following me anyway, because that's just not investing. If you're looking for solid gains, stable gains that you can depend on for your personal growth, trying to take the gambling out of the equation and create a stable portfolio that you can project growth, then this is the stock that you should be looking at. I personally have put more than $100,000 into the stock because this is something I truly believe in at this time. When the stock is closer to the target price, then I'll reevaluate. But right now, I think it's prime to grow and make you some money, probably 10-20% in the next 6 months. That's my guess. The biggest risk I see with Apple right now is them butting heads with Facebook. Usually when blue chips butt heads, nobody wins. So I'll be very careful in terms of the optics of how Apple comes out and how Facebook comes out. It might actually create investment opportunities, but just be very, very careful, yeah? And the other thing I want to point out is, you know, on my original video, I always talked about how Apple's a great stock. I just think it's boring, so the growth is boring, right? But I also mentioned that the PE ratio was like ridiculously low. It is no longer ridiculously low. It is on par with Microsoft, where that's where I thought it should have been in the first place. But that's because the stock has been growing, right? Which means that it's getting there towards the risky territory of being frothy as well. So be very, very cognizant of the PE ratio in the stocks that you invest in. All right, so that's all I wanted to say today. I hope this little video has been helpful for you. I'm gonna try my best to put out videos regularly for you guys because I am now an active investor as well, and I want to share with you my principles. I want to get your feedback on what you want me to talk about so we can all grow our bankrolls together. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button for me. Tell everybody about this channel. We want to grow together as the 11ish Collective, make money together. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to working with you next time.